still can't get over how lucky I am to have kids, even though school's not there. In like 2 weeks, I got teachers laughing in the back of the room back there. People that work in schools, they're like, they know exactly what I'm saying. It's like, I was at home for 2 weeks walking around, and yeah, we had one little kid with us for a little while, But I mean, for the most part, I didn't have a bunch of kids. I like kids. Kids are nice. Even, I teach middle school now. There are a lot of little kids in my school, but I teach middle school grades. So, it's nice to have kids. We started this week, and I said I wanted you to understand more about who Jesus was by the time I finished this week. And we began by talking about the fact that Jesus was a kid. He was just like you in a lot of ways, that he was born as a baby, and he grew up and he went through all the stuff that people go through growing up. He had to move around because, the family had problems and people didn't like him. And he had brothers and sisters and all the stuff that comes with that. Let me do this again. Raise your hand if you have a brother or a sister. And stand up and jump up and down if they're always really nice to you and you never have any problems with them. One or two.
They're all me.
Yeah, everybody has problems with their brothers and sisters. And Jesus had at least 4 brothers, and he had sisters. And, they don't give the names of his sisters. That makes me think he had so many sisters, nobody could remember all their names. I don't know for sure. But he definitely had brothers and sisters. And he had at least one first cousin, and probably more than that. And so we talked about how the guy that was the head of his house that Mary called your father when they found him in the temple. Your father and I have been looking for you. And that guy disappeared, and Jesus was 12 or 13 or maybe 14. We don't know exactly how old. But probably before he was grown up, all of a sudden we stopped hearing about Joseph. And you have to wonder whether Jesus had to step up and be the man of the house since he was the oldest son, and take on adult responsibilities, even though maybe he should have still been a child in some way. And we know that sometimes we end up having to do that as kids, and that's one of the hardest things kids go through. But Jesus evidently went through that. So we talked about ways that you could identify with Jesus if you wanted to think about that. And then we talked about how he created us. On Monday night, we talked about how he created us, and we worked from John chapter 1, and I said that it was my favorite chapter in the Bible 3 or 4 days a week. And sometimes some other verse stuck out to me and was my favorite for a little while, and then I'd go back to John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And it talks about him being our creator in that passage. He made us. Did he make us this way? Well, there's some stuff that happened, and we had a little argument. I can't remember who all decided to argue with me about what the fruit was in the garden. I say Adam and Eve ate the mango because I'm trying to be memorable about it. Everybody remember a picture of the fruit. We don't really know what it was. When they paint a picture of it, they always paint an apple. I don't know why, but they do. And we talked about how he made us to be certain things, and if we seek him and we develop a relationship with him, we can become more and more like what he intended us to be day by day as we enter into a relationship with him. But there are things in our lives now that aren't really what Jesus created us to be like. I don't believe Jesus created me to have allergies. I don't believe he created me to have epilepsy, but I do. I don't believe that He created me to be quite this fat. I think he needed me to have a higher metabolism so that the food I ate got burned off in energy, you know. I wake up sometimes at 5:30 in the morning and hear those birds outside singing, and they're all singing, Brad, get up, let's do this something, get your lunch, your calories, and I'm like, where's the other pillow? I gotta cover my ears. I think these birds are gonna shut up. But Jesus is making me. He's continuing to create me into who it is that He wants me to be. He's my Creator. And last night we talked about how Jesus fulfilled the law for us. That He lived it out so that we wouldn't have to, because we can't. And that the law was really prophecy. It showed us pictures of Him. And He was the fulfillment of those pictures over and over again that were back there in those books of Moses, those Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And that when we read that part of the Bible, we should look at it and say, God, what are you telling me about Jesus in this? And not think, what rules do I need to follow if I want to be good? Because you don't get very far trying to be good. If being good was gas and you had a car, it wouldn't get you to the bottom of the hill. It's that simple. It doesn't get you very far. So that's where we are. And I've been trying to tell you who Jesus is and why you should know Him better. You like my shirt?
Yeah.
What's it say? Can anybody read the back? I got this at a triumphant quartet concert. Yes, you're smart. That's the song. Oh, I couldn't have timed that better. You're right. And we've been singing that song all week, and I like that song. Now, usually I start out with a Bible verse and say, let's read this Bible verse and talk about it. But weeks ago, I asked that nice lady that's been playing the keyboard, I think she stepped down. Oh, there she is. I'm looking like, where is she? Yeah, my bad. I asked Alandra if she would learn that song, if they would do that song, and she said, well, Nate says we can't take requests, but for you I will. And I wore my shirt tonight, and we've been singing that song because I believe it. It's true. That's why we've been singing that song. And I want to talk about how that's true. I want to talk about the fact tonight that Jesus takes pain away from people. He is a pain taker. And you know, there was a point in my life, I don't do it very much, every once in a while, if you've done bad things in the past, every once in a while, you find yourself kind of sliding back into them. But I catch myself pretty quick on this one. And you think about whether or not you know anybody like this, or whether you might be like this. Some people like pain, especially if it's like emotional pain inside you. I used to take pain and pretend it was like my pet gerbil. And I would hold it in my hand and say, oh, I can't believe what they did to me. I can't believe they're all so mean to me like that. You want to see my pet? And I would go around to people and ask them if they wanted to pet my pet gerbil, my pain. And it was like my pet. It was the focus of my attention. It was part of my identity, and I would carry it around with me. And I liked it. I was happy being hurt. Not joy, not that kind of happy. It was kind of a sick sort of, sick is the right word. Sick is a good word for it. It was the kind of happy that if it gets you attention from other people, that's what you're looking for, so you got what you wanted. And if it doesn't get you any attention, you go someplace and you try and be alone, and you pay yourself attention. And what I figured out one day was that whatever it is that's hurting me, that if I go talk to God about it, Jesus will take it from me. I don't have to have that hurt. He had hurt. He had pain. And if I go to Him, I can get rid of it. I can feel real joy again and have happiness, this real happiness, instead of having that sort of strange fulfillment that we get from nursing our own little grudges and aches and hurts and what people did to us. I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? The devil has plans for you. And one of his plans is to hurt you. And when he does hurt you, the first thing he does is whisper in your ear and say, I wonder why God would do that to you. Why would God do that to you? Somebody's talking trash about you and you found out your best friend is saying, why would God do that? Why would God give you a best friend? Let me tell you, brothers and sisters and little kids, it's not God that's doing that to you. God might get something and work something good out of it for you. But sometimes bad things happen just because people are mean. And it's not God's fault at all. It's not something that even entered into His mind. There are things that happen around us and they affect us. And they're not stuff that God intended. It was not God's desire for Cain to kill Abel. God moved on from there and fixed the world. But it was not God's intention. It's not God's intention for people to get pregnant and go have abortions. That's not God's plan. God wants them to have that baby. And when they have abortions, it's not God's fault. And whatever it is that you think of in terms of somebody hurting you, when you hear that little voice in your head that says, why would God do this to me? That's hell itself talking to you. And they're hoping that they can make you one of their residents. They're hoping you'll move there later when the time comes. That's their goal. And the truth is that when you feel those things, if instead you begin immediately to pray and say, Father, this hurts really bad. I have no idea why this came into my life. I know you can do something good with it. Do something good with this. Show me what it is that you have for me that will fix this. That voice will shut up. Because if hell ever figures out, if the devil ever decides that you know what to do when that pain comes, he'll stop bringing some of it. Because it no longer serves his purpose. But there is a devil and he has a plan for you. And the first step in his plan is that he wants to hurt you and see whether or not he can get you to blame it on God. And the truth is that Jesus Christ will take your pains for you. He'll make something good out of it instead of it being there and festering in you and being some kind of little spiritual cancer in your life. He is a way maker. I have a verse here. I'm going to read a couple of verses before I move on from pain maker. I've got Matthew 8, 16 and 17. And it says, when evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet. He himself took our infirmities and carried away our diseases. The problems that come to your life, the sicknesses, the hurts, the spiritual issues, Jesus will speak the word and get rid of them. I believe that. In Psalms 34:18 it says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. If you're old enough in this room to have ever had nobody like Eve or throw up or anything, but a boyfriend or a girlfriend they hurt you, and you walk around feeling crushed and broken because you have put so much of yourself into that other person. The question is, can you go to God and say, why are people like this? What did they? Or do you say, why did you let this happen? I don't like you anymore, God. I'll tell you a secret. If you have a fight with God, then as things progress and new stuff happens, you say, ooh, I wish I need God to fix this. I'm going to go talk to God. Oh, wait. I'm mad at God. I can't talk to God. I forgot about that. And you're stuck. You're in a rut. Don't go there. Don't get in that rut. God is good. Say that with me. God is good. All the time. He's good all the time. I'm going to say God is good, and you say all the time. God is good. All the time. God is good. All the time. And so if you have something you want to blame on God, you're probably wrong about it. Raise your hand if you've ever been wrong about anything. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, if you think it's God's fault that something bad is going on in your life, you're wrong about it. And you can add that to the list of other things you've been wrong about. So, He is a waymaker. If you are lost, the Bible teaches that He is a waymaker. And it says in Luke 19:10, the Son of Man has come to seek and save that which is lost. If you're lost, if you need somebody to find you and say, this is where you should go, come with me. I want you. You can be part of my family. Be part of my flock. The Bible says that Jesus is the good shepherd and that He leaves 99 sheep in a safe place to come look for you. Anybody here ever dealt with sheep? Oh, my goodness. My father had sheep. And every once in a while, you figure out that there was one that you say, they won't hold still, but I think I can only count 34, and there should be 35 or whatever. And you go out on the back side of the property and you look and you find a rose bush. And there, tangled up in the rose bush with lots of little thorns hanging onto its fur, is this sheep. And by that point, it's hot and it's thirsty and it starts hanging out and it's like, somebody get me loose! And you get that sheep loose if you find it in time and you take it back. You leave the rest of them and you go look for that sheep because it's in a bad spot. Jesus came to do that. Whatever bad spots you're in, whatever thorns you're tangled up with in life, whatever little pit you're stuck in, Jesus is looking for you to pick you up and bring you out of that pit, to cut you loose from all those rose thorns that you've gotten yourself tangled up in, all the thorny things in your life that stick you every time you move and you try and get rid of them or whatever. Jesus Christ is looking for you and wants to bring you back from that. Now, I'm going to stop here for just a second and say, this morning I was in a Bible study class in this room for a little while. And I think Ms. Cruey talked about how to be saved, what it means to be saved. I'm going to go just a little step further than that, and I'm going to tell you that if you're saved, if you've been born again, born of the Spirit, and you belong to Jesus Christ, you probably know it. You almost certainly know it. Somebody could walk up to you and look at you and say, are you saved? And you could answer them almost immediately and say, yeah, I know I'm saved, I know I'm saved. And if you can't answer them, you're almost certainly not. Chances are you can tell people when you were saved. You can go back to a point in time and say, yes, I was saved. I was saved in, I don't know the exact date, but it was October or November of 1979. And I was on a college campus. I was at an InterVarsity Christian Fellowship meeting. And they did a Bible study, and I hung around until everybody else left. And I looked at the speaker and said, I'm not saved, and I want to be. And he prayed with me. And when I left, I was saved. And I knew it. And so as I talk about these things, as I talk about Jesus looking for the lost, if you don't know, yes, I'm saved. He's looking for you. He's out walking around looking for you. If you're walking around like that and you don't know, yes, I'm saved, but you have pain, if you come to Him and you do the things Miss Cruey talked about this morning, He'll take that pain. You'll become part of His flock. You'll become that sheep that He was out looking for, and He's going to pull out all the thorns and briars that are holding you to the bush that you're strapped to at the moment, and He's going to take you back to the rest of the flock and take care of it. He is a way maker. He leaves the 99 to go find the one. And if you don't know Him, if you're not saved, you're the one. He's out looking for you. If you need freedom or Savior, He's a prison-shaking Savior. And there's a story in the book of Acts. It's in Acts 16. Paul and Silas were in jail. What do you do when you're in jail, do you think? You sit around and you cry, and I'm not really going to take an answer to that question. Thank you for that answer. I'm not really going to take an answer to that question. That's what's called a rhetorical question. It's a question that I'm going to answer myself for you, or that the answer should be obvious. Most people kind of mope and they're like, I don't know what happens to me next. Paul and Silas were having church. They were chained up in a prison cell, and they were singing, praise Him, Jesus my blessed Redeemer. You know, they were sitting there, and everybody was listening to them, and they were thinking, what is wrong with these people? You know, because they're in chains, and they're just praising God. They're sitting there, and they're saying, I might be in chains, but I know I'm seated in heavenly places. I might be in chains, but I know that one day there's a reward for me, and that God is going to call me into His presence and judge me and say, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter in. And, they were having church. And there was an earthquake, and all the chains broke off. Because Jesus is a chain breaker. He can free you from the things that hold you in place. Luke 4:18, Jesus went back to His home synagogue, His home place of worship, His church, and He opened up the scroll of the prophet Isaiah, and He read this passage. He said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He sent me to proclaim release to the captives. Whatever it is that holds you captive, you can be released from that. Jesus will release you from that. And it's not just real change, physical change. It's whatever it is that has a grip on you and won't let you go. Some of you know people that have something that has a grip on them, and it won't let them go. They can't get out of some drug that controls their life. Or they can't get out of some bad relationship with somebody else that's not saved, and that person has their finger on them and won't let them free, won't let them control their own life, won't let them get away, and it's a bad situation. Or maybe it's debt, and they owe somebody so much money that they can't, whatever it is. We're not talking just about real change. We're talking about the problems you have in life that keep you from being who it is that Jesus created you to be. He is a chain breaker. He can set you free from prison, give you freedom. He is a chain breaker. Last night my verse was Galatians 5:1. And Galatians today is my favorite book in the Bible. My favorite passage is Galatians 5. for freedom that Christ set us free. Therefore, stand firm and do not be subject again to the yoke of slavery. And I think I made it clear last night that yoke was the sin in our life. We had a burden that we could carry called the law that we tried to overcome sin by being good. But the yoke, the slavery, the real slavery was that we were slaves to sin. The reason Jesus died is to free us from that slavery to sin. The blood of Jesus washes us free, washes us clean from the sin in our life. And as we live focused on Jesus, getting to know him more and more every day, getting more and more like him every day, that yoke of slavery to sin is continually broken in our lives. At least it can be. He's a paytaker. He's a waymaker. He's a savior. He's a chain breaker. I want to repeat something that I said, and then I want to add one more thing. And then I think we're going to sing that song. Don't let hell trick you into blaming God for the things in your life that hurt. When you lose somebody, whether it's a parent dies, or your child dies, or disaster comes on you and they take your house, or you get thrown out of school and you just don't know where life is going to go for you, whatever it is, it seems so huge and hurts so bad. Don't let the devil trick you into blaming God for it. Go to God like the good, good Father that he is and say, what do you have for me here? What can you do about this? What's next? I want to talk to you about how bad this hurts, because I know you're the only place I can go where there might be healing for the pain that I have. The second thing I want to add and finish with is this. When we sin, we feel dirty. And there's this temptation that enters our mind, and it's another trick of the devil. It says, I'm going to go get clean. I'm going to go, I don't know, take some kind of shower, fix myself. I'm going to get a little better, and then I'll go talk to God about it. I got people in the back of the room shaking their heads like, it doesn't work. You'll never be clean enough to show back up at the altar if that's your goal. However dirty you are right now, whatever sin it is that you have, whatever bad thing you've done, whoever stuff you stole in the dorm, whatever it is that's going on, the trick, the key is to go now and kneel down at an altar and say, oh God, I don't know what to do about this. I know I can't fix this myself. There's a humility involved. Anybody know what it means to be humble, to have humility? Humility is when you understand that you don't really have the power, the strength, the authority to fix things, that you're not all that big, and that maybe these problems are bigger than you. Pride is the idea when people say, well, I know this is bad, but give me an hour and I can fix this with some duct tape. You know, that's pride. Pride is whatever's wrong, I can handle this on my own. I don't need family, friends, church, or God. I just need to change this tire. You know, whatever it is. Humility is, oh, if there were help, I would sure take it right now. And whatever it is in your life, don't wait and say, it's just too bad for me to go talk to God about this right now. That's a trick. And the trick is that the devil wants to keep you away from having that conversation with God for as long as he can, because he hopes you'll never have it. That's what he hopes, is that you'll never have that conversation. Alondra? Landry? The altar is open. If you come to the altar, whether it's just to get closer to Jesus, or whether it's because you want to be saved, if you come to the altar, I promise you, somebody will be right there with you, to pray with you, to pray for you.
If you've been